Hi there. This is Progressive Short Takes, and I'm your host, Joe Firestone. Thank you for coming. So, the title of this short take is Let's Get It Done. And what we have to get done is the initial response to Donald Trump. But Nancy Pelosi is temporizing again. Can she ever act but decisively and with dispatch? Can even the most extreme event get her moving? The attack on the Congress, an insurrection incited by this lawless president, threatens the separation of powers. Supporters of President Trump are even now planning other attacks across the country. Yet, she's not able to decide between going the 25th Amendment route to removing Trump, the impeachment route, or the removal from office route using the authority of the 14th Amendment to pass a bill in Congress to simply get him out of the presidency. This is the price, the squad, of the rest of the progressives, and we the people are already paying for failing to vote Nancy Pelosi out on January 3rd, when the squad had the votes by themselves and the chance to block her from the speakership. This video will discuss the three alternatives for getting Trump out and what I think ought to be done about him now. So, here's where we stand with the three alternatives. Trump is sitting in the presidency. Pence doesn't seem interested in activating the 25th Amendment, in order to get him out. The reason why, of course, is because because Pence doesn't want to expose himself anymore to Trump's supporters and Trump's people. The benchmark position in Congress is to avoid action for as long as people can. Pence learned that when he was in Congress. He is still a person who wants to avoid action, who wants to avoid responsibility, who wants to stay in the background. He's doing that here. He doesn't want to have the responsibility of removing Trump and going down in history as the person who led the efforts to remove Donald Trump and to punish him for what he's done. So that's where we are with the 25th Amendment. Pence is not going to agree to it. Nancy Pelosi is wasting time. She's taking more time, than is necessary. Articles of impeachment were available Friday. She should have started impeachment proceedings over Friday, continued over the weekend. A bill of impeachment should have been on Mitch McConnell's desk this morning. Instead, she's thinking about possibly voting on impeachment on Wednesday because giving Pence, another 24 hours. And then the impeachment bill finally hits. So that's where we are. Nancy Pelosi temporizing by trying to put the responsibility on Pence and trying to avoid the responsibility herself. Then there's the second alternative, impeachment. I've already mentioned where we are, on impeachment. We won't be able to really take it up in earnest till Wednesday, because Pelosi is resisting moving. Now, there is the third alternative, which is the 14th Amendment alternative. Okay. The 14th Amendment, okay, alternative, and I'm going to show you what the 14th Amendment has to say right now. Let me share the screen here. And we will get up the 14th Amendment. This is in 14th Amendment, Section 3. Section 3. No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress, okay, or elector of president and vice president, or hold any office, civil or military, that includes the presidency, of course, under the United States or under any state, who having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States, that includes the president, or as a member of any state legislature, or as an executive or judicial officer of any state, to support the Constitution of the United States, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. But Congress may, by a vote of 2/3 of each house, remove such disability. Okay, so if this disability exists, then Congress needs a 2/3 vote of each house, okay, in order to remove it. That's not relevant to our present situation. What's relevant to our present situation is that Donald Trump has taken an oath. He is an officer of the United States. He cannot serve as president as of now. Now, there's also a section of the 14th Amendment, Section 5, which gives Congress the authority to pass bills to enforce any of the other sections. So Congress can pass a bill right now to remove Trump from office on grounds that he engaged in an insurrection or a rebellion. Such a bill would have to be passed only by a majority of each house in the United States. So the Democrats have a majority. They can support, but they can pass such a bill in the House today. They can have it on the desk of Mitch McConnell by tomorrow. There are already Republican senators who have indicated that they want Trump gone quickly. There's Lisa Murkowski. There's Senator Toomey, okay, of Pennsylvania. There's Ben Sasse. 3 senators already. There are likely other senators waiting in the background who are willing to quickly remove Trump, okay, and get on with this. There are 48 the Democratic senators, okay, the 2 who won in Georgia will not be there, okay, of course, to support this. So there will still be 53 Republican senators. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I think Mark Kelly has taken the oath of office already. So there will be 52 Republican senators still there, and 48, okay, of the Democratic senators who are there, with 3 Republican senators but the balance can be shifted to 51 to 50. That's enough to pass the Senate bill. That's enough to remove Trump directly from office right now. Now, that doesn't mean that impeachment cannot also be pursued. That should be pursued because there will be challenges to using a bill to pass Trump. It'll be possible to get him out of office that way quick. Yes. But there will still be lawsuits. And there will be many people inside of the country who will think that bypassing the impeachment process and the 2/3 vote necessary in the Senate, that was illegitimate. Even though this authority is in the Constitution, they will still resist and think that that was not the way that it should have gone. So therefore, after this is done to immediately remove him, it would still be necessary to go through an impeachment process. Now, some Democrats now and some others are saying that the impeachment process should be voted on in the House. Impeachment should be voted on, in the House, and then the House should not send the bill over to the Senate until after the first 100 days of the Biden administration. Jim Clyburn came out with that particular position. And so Nancy Pelosi must be thinking about it too. Give Biden a chance to get in there and start to do some things and start to get some support, among the American people, and then move to do the impeachment. Okay, that can work if we remove Trump first. But right now, Trump is a clear and present danger to the Republic. He is still doing whatever he can to incite his supporters to make attacks all over the United States at this point. That appears to be what's going on. He is still doing everything he can to overturn the Constitution of the Republic, to overturn the decision of the democracy, to get him out. He's still going to keep pushing. He's still going to keep on trying. He's still going to try to foment insurrection in the United States. We're going to have a problem with the militias all across the United States. Now, an article has appeared actually in the week by Ryan Cooper. The article is about what can be done, what was done following the Civil War to get rid of the Klan for a time. It's a good article. I encourage you to read it. I will leave a link to the article. But the important point, to know here, I don't want to go through the article, is that it can be relatively easy to stop the particular militia movements of the kind we have now. The Klan was like that too. The back of the Klan during the latter part of the 1960s and the early 1970s was broken by President Grant and by his Attorney General, a guy by the name of Amos Ackerman. Ackerman, strangely, had actually fought for the Confederacy. He actually fought for the Confederacy. But he went into Grant's administration. Not only was he entirely loyal, but he broke the back of the resistance movements as the Attorney General of the United States. How? By prosecuting people, okay, by punishing people, sometimes with very light punishments. But he was consistent. He went across the country demonstrating to people insurrection was not acceptable, that it was not going to happen, that it would be broken by Union troops if necessary. That kind of thing must be done again. The Biden administration and Merrick Garland have to do that. But completely apart from that, I think the sequence here should be use the 14th Amendment, the authority under the 14th Amendment, to get Trump out quickly. Then proceed slowly with the impeachment case. Don't be hasty about it. Don't only impeach him for the insurrection. Impeach him for every crime he committed against the United States, every crime under the Emoluments Clause, every corruption that he engendered, everything he did against the press in the United States, every illegal thing he did with respect to Black Lives Matter, every illegal thing he did with respect to immigration, his misappropriation of congressional funds. Every ground for impeachment should be stated and used against him. After the first 100 days, the case should be made to the Senate in full detail. No punches pulled. He should be buried in it. What has to be understood is that his legitimacy has to be destroyed. That has not been done yet. He still is considered a legitimate figure by a majority of the Republican Party. Fortunately, that's not a majority of the country. What is the Republican Party? 25% or 26% of the voters right now, something like that. So it's still a relatively small percentage of the country, but it is too large. The job here is to break the legitimacy of Donald Trump, to get most people except the fringe to agree that he was an illegitimate president, full of crime, full of corruption, not the kind of person that should ever be president of the United States again. That is the task ahead of us. That is what we must do. I have laid out the path that I think is the proper path. Thank you very much for coming. This is Progressive Short Takes, and I am your host, Joe Firestone.